First contact. The stars had never seemed so threatening. Earth's night sky, once a source of wonder and dreams, now held the promise of destruction. People across the globe stared upward at the massive shapes blocking out constellations they had known since childhood. The Draconian Death Fleet had arrived. Commander Zara stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Decimator, her 4 eyes scanning the blue planet below. Her chitinous exoskeleton reflected the dim red lighting of the command center as she turned to address her officers. "Analysis complete, Commander," Lieutenant Krex reported, his tentacles dancing across the control panels. "The inhabitants call themselves humans. Technology level, primitive. Space capability, minimal. Military strength, negligible." Zara's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. "Another easy conquest for the Empire. How many times have we done this, Krex?" "This will be our 47th planetary acquisition, Commander. And it will be our quickest." Zara activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All vessels, prepare for standard subjugation protocol. Deploy atmospheric intimidation formations. Target their communication networks first, then military installations. Leave population centers intact. We'll need workers for the mining operations." On Earth, panic had already begun to spread. The arrival of 500 alien warships had been impossible to hide. Every government's emergency protocols activated simultaneously. In underground bunkers and secure facilities, world leaders gathered to face humanity's greatest crisis. Dr. Sarah Chen, a quantum physicist, found herself yanked from her laboratory at MIT and rushed to a secure facility beneath Cheyenne Mountain. She had been studying strange energy fluctuations around ancient monuments for years, work that most of her colleagues considered fringe science at best. "Dr. Chen, we need your expertise," General Morrison said as she entered the war room. The walls were covered with screens showing the alien fleet's positions. "These energy readings, are they related to the structures you've been studying?" Sarah examined the data scrolling across the monitors. "The patterns are similar, but the amplitude is off the charts. It's as if the presence of these ships is causing some kind of resonance effect." "Can we use it?" the general asked bluntly. "Use it? We don't even understand it yet." Above them, the Draconian fleet began its assault. Energy weapons lanced down from orbit, targeting satellite networks and military bases. But something unexpected happened. The beams seemed to bend and waver as they entered Earth's atmosphere, many missing their targets entirely. "Commander, we're experiencing targeting anomalies," an officer reported to Zara. 30% of our strikes are failing to connect." "Atmospheric interference," Zara suggested. "Negative. The distortion is unusual. Our computers cannot identify the cause." Zara frowned, an expression that involved her 4 eyes narrowing simultaneously. "Increase power to the weapon systems. Overwhelm whatever primitive countermeasures they might have." The attack intensified. Brilliant beams of destructive energy rained down on Earth, but the strange phenomenon continued. Some beams curved away harmlessly, others seemed to dissipate before reaching their targets, and a few simply vanished entirely. In the Cheyenne Mountain facility, Dr. Chen watched the displays with growing excitement. "General, look at this. The energy distortions are strongest near these locations." She highlighted points on a world map. Stonehenge, the pyramids of Giza, Machu Picchu, Angkor Wat, and dozens of other ancient sites. "Those are all archaeological sites," Morrison observed. "Exactly. And they're all built on what some researchers call power points, locations where Earth's magnetic field shows unusual properties. I've been theorizing that these sites might have been constructed to harness natural energy fields, but I never imagined anything like this." As they watched, a Draconian destroyer positioned itself directly above the Great Pyramid. The ship's weapons charged for a concentrated strike on Cairo. But as the massive energy beam fired, something extraordinary happened. The pyramid began to glow with an eerie blue light, and the alien weapon's beam curved impossibly upward, striking the destroyer itself. The Crexonian ship's shields flickered and died. Then, in a flash of brilliant light, the entire vessel simply vanished. "Did we just witness what I think we witnessed?" General Morrison asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "The pyramid," it reflected their attack, and then Sarah trailed off, stunned. On the decimator, alarms blared as the destroyer disappeared from their sensors. Commander Zara watched the replay in disbelief. "What happened to our ship?" "Unknown, Commander. It appears to have been displaced." "Displaced where?" "Sensor scans show no debris, no energy residue. It's as if the ship never existed." For the first time in her long military career, Zara felt a flutter of uncertainty. She had conquered dozens of worlds, faced countless defensive systems, but nothing like this. The humans weren't fighting back with weapons. Their planet itself seemed to be defending them. All ships maintain minimum safe distance from the surface. Continue bombardment from maximum range. But the strange events were only beginning. Around the world, ancient monuments were coming alive with mysterious energy. Easter Island statues hummed with power, Petra's carved facades glowed with inner light, and the standing stones of Karnak in France pulsed with rhythmic energy waves. In cities near these sites, people reported bizarre phenomena. Electronics malfunctioned, displaying images of impossible geometries. Some claimed to see glimpses of other realities, where familiar landmarks existed alongside alien architecture. Time itself seemed to stutter and skip. Dr. Chen worked feverishly to understand what was happening. The alien ship's quantum drives are interacting with Earth's natural energy matrix, she explained to the assembled military leaders. These ancient sites aren't just monuments. They're components of a planetary defense system our ancestors built without even realizing it. Built against what? President Martinez asked via secure video link. Against exactly this kind of threat. Somehow, thousands of years ago, humans placed structures at precise locations that would resonate with certain types of energy, specifically the kind used by advanced alien technology. The evidence supported her theory. 3 more Crexonian ships had vanished when they ventured too close to activated sites. The aliens were becoming more cautious, but also more frustrated. Commander Zara paced the bridge, her clawed feet clicking against the metal floor. "This is impossible. They're primitives. They haven't even developed faster than light travel." "Perhaps that's precisely why this is working," suggested Science Officer Venn, his bulbous head tilted in thought. "Their development took a different path. While we focused on conquering space, they may have developed defenses we can't comprehend." "Nonsense," Zora snapped. "There must be a logical explanation, some hidden technology, assistance from another species." But deep down, she was beginning to doubt. The Crexonian Empire had built its strength on predictable patterns. Species developed along similar technological paths, reaching spaceflight before developing exotic defenses. Earth had broken that pattern. As the first day of the invasion drew to a close, the score was unexpected. Earth 4, Crexonian Empire 0. 4 destroyers had vanished without a trace, and not a single major target had been successfully destroyed. In bunkers and shelters around the world, humans watched news feeds with a mixture of terror and hope. They didn't understand what was protecting them, but they began to believe something their attackers hadn't considered possible. Earth might actually win. Dr. Chen stood before a hastily assembled think tank of the world's best scientists. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're dealing with something unprecedented. Our planet has a natural defense system that our ancestors somehow knew how to activate. We need to understand it, enhance it, and use it to drive these invaders away." "But how?" asked Dr. Yamamoto from Tokyo. "We don't even know the principles involved." Sarah smiled for the first time since the invasion began. "That's where human ingenuity comes in. We may not have their technology, but we have something they don't, an intuitive connection to our planet that goes back millennia. We need to trust in that connection. Above Earth, Commander Zara received an urgent message from the Draconian High Command. The Empire was watching, waiting for news of another easy victory. Instead, she had to report the impossible. A primitive world was holding its own against the Death Fleet. "Continue the assault," came the cold response. "Failure is not acceptable." Zara cut the communication and turned to her bridge crew. "Prepare for sustained siege protocols. If we cannot take this world quickly, we will take it slowly. Begin deploying orbital platforms. We'll starve them out if necessary." But as the Draconian fleet settled in for a long campaign, strange reports began coming in from around the galaxy. Other species, long thought extinct or mythical, were taking notice of Earth's defenders. Ancient alliances were stirring. The balance of power that had existed for millennia was beginning to shift. The universe was watching Earth's desperate stand, and what they saw would change everything. The anomaly. The second week of the siege brought new challenges for both sides. Commander Zara had established a blockade around Earth, preventing any resources from leaving or entering the planet. Her fleet maintained positions just beyond the reach of Earth's mysterious defenses, bombarding the surface with long-range weapons that seemed only partially effective. In the war room beneath Cheyenne Mountain, Dr. Chen stood before an exhausted assembly of world leaders and military officials. Dark circles under her eyes betrayed the sleepless nights she'd spent analyzing the phenomenon protecting Earth. "The energy field is evolving," she reported, bringing up a holographic display of the planet. Glowing lines connected ancient sites across the globe, forming an intricate web of power. Each time the Draconians attack, the network learns and adapts. It's almost like a living system. General Morrison leaned forward. "Can we control it? Direct it?" "That's what we're trying to determine. My team has identified harmonic frequencies that seem to strengthen the field, but actively controlling it." She shook her head. "It's like trying to conduct an orchestra when you can't read music, and the instruments are mountains and monuments." Above Earth's atmosphere, the Draconian fleet was experiencing its own revelations. Science Officer Ven had taken over the investigation after 3 more ships vanished during what should have been routine maneuvers. "Commander, I've isolated the transformation signature," Ven reported, his tentacles manipulating complex equations on the main screen. "The missing ships aren't destroyed. They're being shifted into alternate dimensional phases." Zara's exoskeleton rattled with frustration. "Explain in terms I can use tactically." "The Earth's defensive network doesn't destroy. It displaces. Our ships are being pushed into parallel realities. They still exist, but not in our dimensional framework." "Can we retrieve them?" "Theoretically, yes. But we'd need to understand the mechanism first, and this technology is unlike anything in our databases." The commander's 4 eyes focused on the blue planet below. "Then we need to force them to reveal their secrets. Prepare a surface expedition. Small team, heavy shielding, quantum stabilizers at maximum." On Earth, the global community was adapting to life under siege. While major cities remained largely untouched, the aliens seemed reluctant to destroy potential slave labor. The psychological impact was severe. Yet humans were displaying their characteristic adaptability. In London, Dr. Amara Okoye, a specialist in archaeoacoustics, made a breakthrough while studying the sonic properties of Stonehenge. "The stones are singing," she announced to her research team. "At frequencies we can barely detect, but they're definitely producing structured sound patterns." Her discovery was immediately relayed to Dr. Chen's team. Within hours, similar reports came in from around the world. The pyramids were generating subsonic pulses, the Easter Island statues were producing complex harmonics, and even lesser-known sites were showing acoustic activity. "It's a planetary chorus," Chen realized. "The sites are communicating with each other, creating a unified field through sound waves that interact with Earth's magnetic field." President Martinez, participating via secure connection, asked the crucial question, "Can we amplify it?" "We're already working on that. If we can synchronize human-made transmitters with these natural frequencies." Her explanation was interrupted by alarms. A Cracksonian landing craft had penetrated the atmosphere, somehow navigating through the defensive field. It was heading directly for Machu Picchu. The landing party consisted of 12 Cracksonian soldiers in advanced combat armor, led by Sub-Commander Thek. Their mission: capture and analyze one of Earth's defensive nodes. They touched down just outside the ancient Incan city, their boots leaving deep impressions in the morning dew-soaked grass. "Energy readings are off the scale," reported Specialist Grix, waving a scanning device. "The very stones seem to be alive with power." "Proceed with caution," Thek ordered. "Remember, we're not here to destroy, but to understand." As they approached the central plaza, the air itself seemed to thicken. Colors became more vivid, shadows deepened, and sounds took on strange echoes. Several soldiers reported seeing movement in their peripheral vision, figures that vanished when looked at directly. "Stay focused," Thek commanded, though his own sensory organs were registering anomalies. "The humans are probably using hallucinogenic defenses." But what happened next defied all explanation. As Specialist Grix reached out to touch one of the precisely cut stone walls, reality seemed to fold. The Cracksonian found himself looking at his own hand from impossible angles, seeing it simultaneously young and old, whole and wounded. "Pull back," Thek shouted, but it was too late. Grix screamed, a sound that seemed to echo across dimensions, and then simply ceased to exist in their reality. One moment he was there, the next, only his equipment remained, falling to the ground with a clatter. The landing party retreated in disorder, their disciplined formation breaking apart as more soldiers experienced reality distortions. By the time they reached their ship, only 7 of the original 12 remained. The others had been claimed by whatever force protected the ancient site. In orbit, Commander Zora received Thek's report with growing concern. "You're telling me the planet itself is fighting us?" "Not fighting, Commander. It's translating us, converting our matter and energy into forms that can't exist in this dimension. The humans may not even understand what they've activated." Zara's tactical mind raced through options. "If we can't touch their defensive nodes directly, we'll have to find another approach. Begin scanning for humans who seem connected to these sites. Perhaps we can learn their secrets through them." Meanwhile, Dr. Chen's team had made another crucial discovery. Working with indigenous elders from various cultures, they learned that oral traditions contained references to the site's true purpose. Maria Horta, a Mayan elder, shared ancient stories with the assembled scientists. "Our ancestors spoke of the time of testing, when visitors from the stars would come. They built the temples not just to honor the gods, but to remember the harmony of earth and sky." Similar stories emerged from Aboriginal Australians, Native Americans, African tribes, and Asian cultures. All spoke of a time when humanity would need to prove worthy of its place in the cosmos. "It's not just a defense system," Chen realized. "It's a test. Earth is evaluating both us and the Cracksonians." This revelation coincided with reports of new phenomena. In areas where the defensive field was strongest, people reported profound experiences, visions of possible futures, understanding of complex mathematical principles they'd never studied, and most remarkably, fleeting telepathic connections with each other. Humanity was changing. The change wasn't uniform or predictable. A farmer in Iowa suddenly understood quantum mechanics. A child in Mumbai began drawing plans for devices that could harmonize with the planetary field. An elderly woman in Sao Paulo found she could sense the emotional states of people thousands of miles away. These emerging abilities caught the attention of other civilizations. The Galactic Council, which had long observed Earth as a primitive backwater, called an emergency session. Ambassador Cree of the Zenthran Collective addressed the assembly. "The humans are exhibiting rapid evolutionary adaptation in response to the Cracksonian threat. This is unprecedented. No species has shown such accelerated development under duress." "Perhaps," suggested the crystalline ambassador from Proxima, "it's not evolution but awakening. What if humans always had these capabilities, dormant until activated by extreme threat. The debate continued as more alien civilizations turned their attention to Earth. Some saw opportunity, others threat, but all recognized that something extraordinary was happening. Back on Earth, the first successful amplification experiment took place at Stonehenge. Dr. Okoye's team had constructed a series of acoustic resonators designed to enhance the stone's natural frequencies. When activated, the effect was immediate and dramatic. The blue energy that had been visible only during attacks now pulsed continuously between the stones. More remarkably, people in the vicinity reported a profound sense of connection, not just to each other, but to the planet itself. "We're becoming part of the defense system," Chen reported to world leaders. "The field isn't just protecting us, it's integrating us into its matrix." This integration had unexpected consequences. The Draconian attacks, rather than weakening Earth's defenses, seemed to be accelerating human development. Each assault triggered new adaptations, new abilities, new understanding. Commander Zara observed these changes with growing alarm. "They're using our own attacks to evolve. Every weapon we deploy makes them stronger." Science Officer Ven confirmed her fears. "The energy we're expending is being absorbed and redirected into their evolutionary process. We're inadvertently catalyzing their transformation from a primitive species into something other. Then we stop attacking. If we do, they'll continue developing, possibly finding ways to take the offensive. If we don't, we accelerate their growth. We're trapped in a paradox of our own making." As the second week drew to a close, both sides reassessed their positions. Earth's defenders had learned they were part of an ancient system designed not just for defense but for transformation. The Draconians faced an enemy that grew stronger with each attack. And watching from afar, the greater galactic community began to realize that the balance of power in the universe was about to shift dramatically. Earth, the overlooked primitive world, was becoming something none of them had anticipated. The anomaly was spreading, and with it, the future of humanity, and perhaps the galaxy itself, was being rewritten.